agreement about what it all meant. Earlier today, over a coffee, I was joined by the economist Nick Skrekas to discuss, and I was surprised at how strongly he opposed the measures.
This doesn't mean anything very positive at all for the Greek people. In fact, this 28 billion worth of measures and cuts will effectively mean 1 month's less salary for your average household. It is more likely to mean at least a 10 to 12% GDP drop until 2015. And it really just describes a perfect debt trap, where the more you tax and the less you spend from public coffers, the worse things get, because the economy can't generate tax revenues to pay off lenders.
The IMF and the Eurozone, they know all the pitfalls of what you're talking about. They are trained economists and bright men and women at that. So they're aware of the recessionary measures that are being imposed.
Well, I'm not sure that there isn't any alternative. There are alternatives, but ones that they aren't willing to consider. Such an alternative would be, and it's unavoidable in my view, a debt restructuring. Now, you don't help anyone who is in this much debt by giving them more debt.
What would you say to the European officials who say tonight that Greece voted to be responsible and put the country back on its feet?
No, the kind of medicine that's being dished out is actually quite poisonous in the level of its dose. And there is very little nobility in this austerity. Of the last 14 months, we've had 100,000 businesses closing due to this policy recipe. We now have a quarter of the Greek population under the poverty line. And with these measures, it's only going to get worse.
To those people watching saying that Greece had to restructure, there has to be better tax collection, there has to be a less generous welfare system, there has to be higher productivity. Surely these measures do all those things?
Some of those measures are in the right direction, but the great majority are actually very destructive for the economy, very destructive for the middle class. Unemployment will skyrocket. The economy will tank even further. You will see social disruption. What we really need is all of the Eurozone governments to sit down with the lenders and work out a moratorium for the Euro periphery for about 2-3 years to allow economies to bounce back somewhat into more normalized states, and then we can work out how to repay the debts.
Do you think that in 5 to 7 years' time, this privatization, you know, in many ways similar to what happened in Russia, where they talk about how the assets were stolen in many cases by the oligarchs. People will say they privatized, the corrupt came in, the corrupt got the goods.
That is a huge risk at the moment, a huge risk. I don't know that it will actually go down that direction. I certainly hope it doesn't, but it is a very significant risk.
In 10 years' time, will Greece still be in the euro?
I think in a few years' time we may still be in the euro. I think in 10 years' time, if we are wise enough, we shouldn't be in the euro. And we've already seen how the benefits have been wiped out since Eurozone entry, just in the case of 12, 13 months of austerity. Moreover, we don't have the tools to be able to help our economy without having control of our own money supply, of our own currency, of our own interest rates.
That, of course, is one perspective